Hello, everyone. Hi. I am a little bit all over the place this afternoon, so you're going to have to bear with me. I have kind of prepared something. It's only something small today because I didn't have a lot of preparation time. We only got home from the hospital. So some of you have probably already heard I wasn't live on Sunday night, and I do apologize, but for good reason. I had a lot of things going on. My husband went in with acute pain on Saturday morning about 4:30, and then we spent the rest of the weekend at the hospital while we were in emergency waiting to find out what was happening. My daughter rang to say she had chest pains and pain down her left arm, so I told her to ring an ambulance. In the meantime, my son, my dad, and my stepmom all have COVID. Um, it's just been one of those weekends. Oh my gosh, right? So with all of that going on, just Sunday night became just too much to contemplate, really. And I was rather relieved to actually even though I was sad to hit the button to cancel it, I think it was the right thing to do. So I hope everyone survived and you guys were all fine. I don't like doing it because I know I'm depriving you guys of the community that you have built here and talking to each other. I know that's important. So I wanted to make sure I went live today so you could do that. So yeah, it's just been a crazy few days. But my husband is home. I just drove him home. We got home probably about 20 to 2, and so I immediately scheduled my live and just pushed it back by half an hour so that it would give me a little bit more time to have some lunch and get him settled and all that sort of stuff. So how is everyone else? Enough about me, right? Oh dear, goodness me. All right, let me go down to the Yeah, it's just been a lot going on, Suzanne. Huge stuff going on, and thank you to everyone. The funny thing was that I was replying. Quite a few people reached out, and thank you to everyone who did or commented or any of the things, and wished us well. Um, I I'm so grateful, but as my husband said, it probably would have been easier to go live than it was to actually answer all the messages. But I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for caring. It's pretty cool. So today is Technique Tuesday, and this is the day of the week that we pick a technique and go with it. And I'm going to go through a technique today that is an old technique for me, but I haven't done it in years. And I might be playing around a little bit with a couple of different sets to see what it looks like with different sets. I've only done one kind of preparation. I've only done one project kind of to prepare. And I thought, apart from that, we're going to wing it and we're going to see how it goes. It's beautiful weather here today. For those of you who are saying it's cold where you are, it is gorgeous here on the Central Coast. Mornings are really cold right now, but the days, if it's sunny, have been absolutely beautiful. I'm having a little look through to see if I've missed any important messages. Yeah. How is Paul? Paul is good. He's home. So they whipped his gallbladder out yesterday. That's what happened. We thought when he was having the pain, we actually thought it was something else that he'd suffered from before. And when they got into hospital, they did a lot of. He actually didn't get out of emergency until like 9 o'clock at night. It was from 4:30 in the morning or 4:45 all the way through to about 9 o'clock. We were in emergency that whole time. But he was in a bed. And they were trying to work out what was going on. They finally decided it was probably gallbladder, which is it actually had suspected he might have had some gallbladder problems for a while, and so it had to come out. And the words used to describe it were not very nice words. So, and I'm telling you that because seriously, it could have been a lot worse than it was. We're so grateful, really grateful that that they took him in straight away and gave it the attention it needed. The words they used were gangrenous, which is not a good word, necrotic, also not a good word, and perforated, which means it had essentially started. It was basically about to burst, or it was a little bit already burst. So he's very lucky because it's life-threatening. So if it had continued, if he hadn't gone into the hospital when he did, we could be talking a very different story. So I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful that. Oh my goodness me, Janine, that's no good. I hope your friend's brother is going to be okay. Goodness me. so many things going on at the moment. It just seems to be the way of it. I don't know what is going on, but anyway. And my daughter's also she went into hospital and they did all the tests, which all came back clear. So they sent her home and she's off to see the GP to get a referral. And I need to actually ring her and find out if she has made that appointment, because she's notorious for not doing that. And Ben and my dad was also of concern because, you know, he's really not been well. So he doesn't have, he's 90, he'll be 91 next month. So to get COVID at his age is worrying, and his lungs are not in great shape anyway. So yeah, they were worried about him, but he seems to be on the improve now. So I know they are very nasty words, aren't they, Ronnie? Yeah, so it's out. It's better out than in for sure. All right, let's switch over to the desk. And I'm going to actually get started. I'm sorry, I'm taking too long and I'm just talking about myself, and I don't want to do that too much. Yes, I'm glad I'm home too, Denise. So grateful. And thank you for your help with the team live video yesterday. I was so grateful you could help me out. I'm very, very happy about that. Thank you so much. You did a great job. Any of the team who are watching today know that Denise did a great job on the live yesterday. All right. Okay, so we are, as you guys know, deep into the annual catalogue now. It came out in May last month, and it goes for a whole year. But right now, what is really cool about what's in here is that they have a bundle sale. They have 10% off all bundles that are die bundles. So not punch bundles, but all the die bundles are currently on 10% off. So this is a great month. If you've had your eye on any of our bundles, this is a good time to get them, because they're normally 10% off and they're adding an extra 10%. Oh, I think I have an Australia postman in my driveway delivering, hopefully, my Stampin' Up order I'm waiting for. Oh, that's okay. No, I don't want to repeat that anytime soon. It's like we did our whole 5 years worth of illnesses all in one weekend. Kind of feels like that. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, Renee. Appreciate that so much. I know, Jen. I had a little look before, and it was 9,997 people have subscribed to my YouTube channel. So if you're watching and you have not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button, because that will hopefully get me up to 10,000. I'm thinking I'll hit it today, tomorrow at the latest. So that's very exciting. I'm deciding what to do to celebrate. I should do something, don't you think? What shall we do? I don't know. Anyway, 9,997 people, and I need 3 more. Well, last time I checked, I needed 3 more, and we would be at the 10,000 mark. So, yeah, that's very exciting. So good things happening in amongst all the other rubbish, all right? All right, so bundles are on sale. Also 10% off cut and emboss machines. So if you've been looking at either the mini machine or the big machine, both of those are 10% off. So once again, great time to buy those. And don't forget, if you're a demonstrator, and I know a lot of demonstrators watch my videos, if you are a demonstrator, you get those discounts that Stampin' Up are offering, the, you know, extra 10% off the bundles and the 10% off the cut and emboss machines, plus you get your demonstrator discount. So that's an extra 20 or 25% off on top of that. So it is absolutely fantastic. Yeah, if people could subscribe twice, Suzanne, that's a really good idea. Spend $10,000 on craft items. Yeah, I don't think I'll be doing that. I need to pull that $10,000 like a rabbit out of a hat, really. But yeah, it's a nice idea. Yes, Leslie. He's been told he's not allowed to pick up anything heavier than 5 kilos. So I imagine I'll be doing a lot of lifting. I'll be doing the bins and the kitty litter and all those things that he usually does. So it's going to be fun, isn't it? Anyway, all right, so today I'm going to I've picked an old technique, and I'm sure I'd like to know in the comments if anyone has not seen this technique before, because it's an old technique that was all the rage once upon a time, well, like when I was early days of my being a demonstrator, and I've been a demonstrator nearly 18 years. So this is a technique that I played around with way back then, and it's called faux tearing. Oh, you've been there. Oh, that's not good. Not good at all, Leslie. Yeah, and I believe they say gallbladder is very, very, very painful. So I'm really glad he's past all that now. All right, so I'm just wiping, because I was busy before I went live, quickly trying to design something. And I'll show you what it was I came up with. All right, so this is the faux tearing technique where it looks like you have a torn edge on your card. Okay, has anyone not seen this before? Oh, Ronnie said she's never heard of it, faux tearing. There you go. All right, well then that's great, because some people will have seen it before and other people will be thinking, what the heck is that? So that's all right. 20 years ago. Is that what you think, Sheila? All right. That's a long time, and I hope you had no more trouble after that. Yeah, well, he would certainly think that, Suzanne. Most certainly. You haven't seen it before, Tanya. Okay, well, there you go. I picked the right technique then. All right, super easy to do. I'm just going to use a piece of basic white card. Let me bring in my trimmer. Like I said, I'm not quite as prepared as I normally am for a Technique Tuesday, because we literally walked in the door like such a small amount of time ago, and I'm just going by the seat of my pants, really. So let's see. I'm just cutting this to card front size, which is 14.3 centimeters by 10. If you're in the US, your card front size, I believe, is 4 1/4 by 5. I think that's right. I hope that's right. Anyway, someone can correct me if that's not right. I often get confused with American. I should do what I have. I've actually prepared myself. I've actually got some like pieces here. Yeah, 4 by 5 1/4 is the right size. So I've actually got a couple of pieces I've prepared so that I can tell you that if I need to. So that is correct. All right. So this is a super easy technique. I'll do the colors I used on this one. This is garden green and shaded spruce together, which are two kind of medium to darker greens, and it kind of looked interesting. Jen is asking a question, and Ronnie answered it. So thanks, Ronnie. I'm just having a little look through. What's Jen say? Oh, look, are you thinking, Jen, about the big one or the small one? I have feelings about both of them. If I could only have one, I would have the big one. I do like the small one because the small one is more portable. It's much lighter, easier to store, that kind of thing. But the big one is a workhorse. I do all my cutting for all my classes and everything on my one big cut and emboss machine. I will probably buy a second one at some point. I've thought about doing that this month, actually. But I love having the big cut and emboss machine to do everything. Plus the big, like all the embossing folders, the bigger embossing folders only go through the big one. They don't go through the small one. For me, I think the big one is worth it. But if you could only choose one and you're budget conscious, you might prefer to have the small one just from a budget point of view, because it's half the price. All right. So it really comes down to what you think. I think people who've just got a cut and emboss machine for the first time are very surprised how awesome it is to use. It really is fantastic. So, all right. Just having, and Ronnie says she has both. You're the same as me. The big one's my favorite too, Ronnie. Yeah. And then there you go. And Jen was saying you have the little one. Okay. All right. So there you go. That answers that question. Oh, I'm seeing now Suzanne is saying she loves the baby one. So, yep. I know there's a few of us thinking about that too, Tanya. Thinking about, would this be a good time to buy another one? Sheila's got a good point. I'm going to put that up on the screen because I love that comment. What's a budget? Ha ha. Yes, indeed. What is a budget? I have no idea, really. So your big shot died. Eventually they give out. They don't last forever, unfortunately, and I don't expect my cut and emboss machine will last forever either, but I've had it ever since they came out and I'm very happy with it. So there we go. Well, it fits on your wet desk, Leslie. That's awesome. All right. Well, let's get this happening. I've just got a piece of copy paper. Now, for this technique, you could use our masking paper, okay? Because the masking paper will stay in place for you, but here's my honest assessment. You don't need masking paper. You can just use a sheet of copy paper for this. Right, we've got our piece here that we're going to do our stamping on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take my copy paper and I'm going to tear it. I'm going to tear it towards me. And I'm not going to try and make it straight. I'm going to try and make it a little bit wavy because I think that adds it a bit of interest. So we're going to have copy paper that goes up, and so you can kind of see we've got like an interesting up and down wavy shape. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this over my paper. Now, in the case of this, because it's copy paper and it's thin, you can actually see your the shape of your paper. So if you're thinking, how much space do I want down here? Because to me, this one I did about halfway, and to be honest, that's probably, I probably would prefer it to have been a little bit deeper, because this is all I would need to put a sentiment in. Okay, so I can see how big this is, and I quite like that. And I'm deciding where, you know, what shape do I want my tearing to be. I think I like it about there. All right, and I'm going to bring that down because this is going to be plenty for me to put a sentiment in. And I'm just going to straighten it up on my, if you're using grid paper or glass mat, it just helps you keep it straight. Not that it really matters, but if you are using grid paper, the nice thing is that you also, when you add your sponging, that will also create a square around here that helps you reline it up if you need to. Not that it matters too much. Shall we do this? I just, like I said, you can see I've just done this in the greens. Maybe I'll do it in a different color, just so that, what have I done with my stamp cleaner? Here it is, under all the piles of things. All right, I'm just going to clean this off, and then we'll come back and do that again. All right, so very, very, very easy technique, and I'm thinking today it might not. Oh, and here's a tip. When you're cleaning a big stamp like this, I actually add, because it's such a big background stamp, I actually add some of my mist. If you're using Stampin' Scrub and Mist, I add some of that to the stamp itself, as well as to the, and it just helps you make sure you're going to get it all clean. I still use my scrub. I know some people prefer the chamois. Does anyone here have a preference, a scrub or a chamois? I like the chamois better for photopolymer stamps, and I like the scrub better for rubber stamps. That's just my personal take on it. So because I did one earlier in green, I'm thinking maybe now I won't do green. Maybe I'll do purples. Purples. Let's do purples. Let me see. I think I'll use Highland Heather and Gorgeous Grape. Let's use those two. That'll be interesting. And I always ink up first with the lighter color. So you love the scrub? Me too, Judy. I think it's great. Marion's saying she loves both the sizes of the cut and emboss, but normally she takes the small one to crops because it needs less space. Yes. Oh, so Mary was asking where I was on Sunday. Is that what? Yeah, so you didn't miss Sunday night. You didn't miss it at all. I wasn't here. I was at the hospital, not for myself, but for my husband, who, now I've just inked up this whole stamp, which actually I didn't need to do because I'm only going to be using this much. Okay. If you might decide you want just the edge and then have the rest of it to do other things, but I just want to have my leaves, and I'm using you need a fairly big stamp, and you need a stamp that's fairly busy. Okay. You need a lot going on, because if there's too much background in between, this technique doesn't work quite as well. Okay, so I'm just going to get that where I want it to be. That looks good. And I'm actually going to come in with my Gorgeous Grape, and I'm going to add, now I could add some just by, adding a bit of color here and there. So I've got some darker color. Can you see where the darker color is on there? And you can just do that by literally adding it with your ink pad, or you could use a sponge dauber. Let me find one. So I could come in here with my dark, and I could start, adding some darker leaves in with my sponge dauber. This is actually, I guess in a way, it's a technique inside a technique, because adding a darker color to a lighter colored ink stamp is a great way to add variations of color to your different images. So there you go. That's a little bonus today. How about that? All right, so I'm happy with this. It's looking good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this so it covers that whole area, including some of this, and that's fine. And I'm just going to make sure it gets a really good impression. Now, normally when I use a background stamp, I usually like to put the stamp down face up and put my paper on top. But because of what we're doing here, I want to do it this way because I want to make sure that the tearing part is the part that's really... All right, so can we see how that looks? Now, when you have this looking like this, okay, it doesn't really look like a torn edge, where if you look here, this really does look like a torn edge, okay? And that's because what we do, okay, so I'm just going to line this back up exactly where it was. Let me get that lined up exactly. And I'm doing that by, you know, lining the image back up. Then what you're going to do is you're going to move this about, probably about a couple of millimeters, so you can see the white edge just outside there. Can you see the white? You can just see that white edge. You could go a little bit more if you wanted to, maybe three or 4 millimeters. That would be fine. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a blending brush. Now you can also use sponge daubers for this, but I really rather like going in with a blending brush because I think it's easier to use, but that's just me. And I'm going to go with the darker color. This is the Gorgeous Grape. And I'm going to grab some ink straight from, I'm pushing quite hard. I want to get plenty of ink right on there. And holding this in place so I can see that white edge, I'm going to start onto the paper and then go off. And I'm going to start going over this edge. So you're adding like a darker edge to this. All right, I'll put it back in a second, but hopefully then you can really see how that starts to look like a torn edge. Can you see that? Because we're getting that blending working here. Put it back. I'm going to get a bit more. And I like to get it fairly dark, actually. I'm going very close to that edge. I'm not spreading it out at the moment. Now, if you wanted to use a dauber, that would be fine. And what you do is you just get lots of ink on the dauber and just kind of go over the edge of that tearing back onto the image. And I'm going to get it fairly dark. And that's what creates that look. Okay, does that make sense what we're doing? And then you end up with a, like something that kind of looks like it's ripped, but it's actually all one layer. Okay, and it does look really cool. Now, I think this looks better when we have a bit more color going on, like the white with the white doesn't look as good. So I still got my blending brush here. There's still enough ink on it. I'm going to give it a bit more color from the other end. And I'm going to use, I'm using the lighter one for this. Jen, if you're ordering anything else, just so, and if anyone, I don't know if everyone knows this, if I ask people to use a host code. Now, if you don't use a host code when you order, it's not the end of the world. I can add the host code. I'm limited to how many codes I can add a month. But as long as some people are using the codes, I can usually go along and fill in the ones for the people who forget to use them. However, if you are doing a big order and it's over $250, please don't use the host code. And the reason why is when you have an order that's over $50, don't put a host code on it and they will give you host rewards on that order. So if you're putting an order through and it's $230 or $240, do yourself a favor, take it over $250 and then you get 10% of the order back in free products. So you get $25 to spend if you were spending $250. And if you go over that, it goes up 10%. So it goes up every time you spend any more money. Oh, I did just have, where did I put it? Oh my gosh. Sometimes I am very worried about how I lose things so fast. Didn't you guys see me use my my glass cleaner? Didn't you see me just use that? Oh well. Oh, there it is. Found it. It's under the Gorgeous Grape ink pad. There we go. Yay, found it. Makes that squeaky noise. Reminds me of halloumi cheese, for those of you who like squeaky cheese. All right, now I did actually move this slightly when I did this, and it's not as clean as it might have been. Still looks okay, but yeah, I think it would have looked better if I'd just not moved it at all. So this one, for example, hopefully you can see this one's actually a better line because I didn't move it and it looks more torn, I think, but it still looks good. All right, so that's the faux tearing technique. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to do a couple of different versions, and we're going to do some on not white so that you can see what that looks like, because I think that's a really nice look. And I thought I'd use a stamp that I think might work well for this, although I haven't tried it, so let's find out. I've got some grey granite paper here. Let's see how this looks. It might not work, but like I said, we're just going to play it by ear. And I'm going to go down. All right, so I'm cutting this to the same size. I'm actually thinking I'm going to take it down slightly smaller. And I wanted to use a stamp because I know not everyone has the big background stamps, but I thought another stamp that's big-ish and fairly busy-ish is the stippled roses. And I thought, let's see how that will look. It may work, it might not. When I first learned to do this technique years and years and years ago, I was using, for most of the time, I was using, does anyone remember the Paisley background stamp that we used to have? That was just a beautiful, beautiful stamp. And it was the same size as this one of these, okay, huge. And I loved that stamp, and it was so good for this technique because it was quite a busy background, okay, and it works really, really well as these. Yeah, we found it. Oh, look, Suzanne, I put anything down in front of me and I lose it, totally lose it. So yeah, and the plot, I lose that too on a regular basis, especially at the moment. I said something to Paul earlier and he's like, really? What are you saying? I'm like, please just understand that today is not a great day for me to be doing stuff. All right, so I'm going to rip off the other end of this and let's see if we can create an interesting, no, don't like that. But that's okay. And you could do this long ways. Let's see if I can fix that up because I don't like that big sharp edge. All right, so we could do it like this, and that might be interesting, or we could do it like take the edge. I've got a thought. It happens sometimes. I'm thinking I will go with but I want to go this way. Here we go. All right, so I can see where that edge is. Just doesn't actually show up as much as the white did. Remember the white we could really easily see? Not that it really matters, but I have an idea. All right, okay, like this. I'm going to move this out of the way, and I'm going to use let's see if this will work. It may or may not work. It's just an idea I had in my head. So let's see what happens. You didn't know this technique, Marion. Well, there you go. It's really interesting because I thought, oh, look, it's an oldie but a goodie. Everyone's going to know it. But, oh, well, it's been a while since I saw it. So, all right. So, I'm going to put this. Doesn't really matter which way it goes. But I'm going to have it just going over this edge here. And this is a busy-ish stamp. See what I mean? There's not a lot of space in between the lines or anything like that. So I'm thinking it will probably work quite well for this. And then I thought I would. Oh, we don't really. That doesn't matter anymore because I'm only doing. What I'm wanting to do is kind of just fill in the space. I don't know if I'll be able to. Oh, I could do this, or I could use the leaf as well. Because the leaf might be good. Let's try the leaf because that's going to fill in that space quite nicely. Let me see what. I just want to fill in as much of this as I can. It's a pretty stamp, this stippled rose, isn't it? It's really beautiful. All right. Now, the only thing is I need to work out where this went. And it was in here. So I can sort of see where that leaf went. And it's going to be kind of like that. All right. So we're about to find out if this is going to work or not. I've got a bit of a gap down the bottom here, so I might actually put another leaf down the bottom. And I'm going to grab a sponge dauber. Or maybe I should do... I'm going through my rather scary drawer of sponge daubers that really needs to be... Now, it needs to be gone through. All right, so that's about there. Right there. And so let's start to get some colour on here. I'm going to go over this edge. So you can see what it looks like here. It doesn't look very, it just looks like the stamp comes to an end, right? It doesn't look like anything else is going. But when we start adding the sponging, it will take on a completely different. I'm just lining that back up. And I'm going to hold that and just come on here. So if you don't want to have to hold it like this, you could use the masking paper, take the backing off and stick it down, you know, rip it. But it does need to be very thin paper so that you don't have a big gap. So if you used white cardstock, it won't work as well, all right? Because see how it's starting to look like a ripped edge now? It's very pretty. So you don't want to use white cardstock because that's too thick, all right? And it won't give you the result you want. Now, if you feel that this is not, I mean, it does look rather good. What do you think? Can you see why you do this? And then if you want to sort of continue that, you can add some more color all over to make it look like it's just a little bit darker. How's that looking? Do we like that? You've never seen, it is a really simple but a really cool technique, right? This is grey granite ink on grey granite cardstock. I usually use, when I'm using a coloured cardstock, I would very often use the same or a darker shade of a similar colour. So I think that looks better usually rather than contrasting colours. Try and stay with the same kind of colour. Keep it fairly, it'll just help you with the toning of everything. All right, so I'm liking how that's looking. And let me just clean this up again because I've got a bit of ink everywhere. All right. So what do we think? Do we like this? Do you see what we're actually trying to achieve? You've never seen it done like that. The other way, of course, is to use a sponge dauber. And I did pull out my sponge daubers so I could show you how that looks as well. You could pick a darker color if you wanted to. You know, if you wanted to really accentuate that, you could go up to probably early espresso, but not too heavy. That would probably be your next color up. Let me just see if I got... So yeah, if I was to pop this into the grey granite, and I'll just do it around the edges so that you can see what I'm talking about. Let me find, oh my goodness, here it is, grey granite. So if I wanted to, now I've just ordered another set of sponge daubers, because I'm always going through them. I've just ordered a new set. It's been a while. I'm trying to manage with the ones I have. So this is grey granite, and you'll see it. You'll get a darker. Oh, there's a little bit of something else on here. All right, so see that's a little bit darker up there in the corner. It doesn't make a lot of difference, but anyway. Yeah, that's exactly what I do, Margaret. I just craft cardstock with whitey. Ooh, that could be interesting. Maybe we should, shall we try it? All right, let's give that a whirl. I haven't ever tried that colorway, and that sounds really, really cool. So let's give that a whirl. So this is what we've got so far. So I could have a greeting up here, but more likely I would have one going across here. And I think that could look really, really beautiful. Oh, I know. In the Unbounded Beauty set, there's some really nice labels, and something like that would be really lovely with this. So, for example, here's one I just did. All right, so we could put a greeting on there, and this could be a really simple, very simple card. You could add some, you know, gold bling to it, and that would be really nice. This one I probably would have, I'd probably stamp straight on for this one, but this one, it'd look better with a label. And so on. Does that make sense what we're doing here? So I would probably, around this, I'm thinking, oh, what color would we go? I'm deciding. I think I've made up my mind what I want to do. Let's try some Blackberry Bliss. That's probably not where you thought I was going, but that's where I've decided to go. All right, so look at that. That piece was even the right size. I keep in my scrap drawer, I quite often have lots of offcuts, and so quite a few of them end up being card size, and I can just pull them out and use them, which is great. All right, so, and then I would have on here, in our stippled rose set, is there a nice greeting? There's a Mother's Day that would go on here. There's a sending thanks that would go on here. Shall we do that? Or, of course, anything from the Unbounded Love bundle would look good. Now, let's have a look. Now, speaking of bundles, while I think of it, I noticed that we had a couple of things out of stock. Let me just let you know what is currently out so that you're not disappointed when you go in there. Because I think Unbounded Love was out. Okay, the 2 sets of 12 by 12 papers, the Subtles and the Brights, are both out and not currently due back in anytime soon. Oh, no, Unbounded Love has come back in, but the Flowers of Beauty bundle is out because the Flowers of Beauty stamp set is out. And the Citrus Bloom stamp set is out. Oh, never mind. At least Spotlight on Nature came back in, thank goodness. So we're actually going to end up with a couple of completed cards today, I think. But I love your idea about trying the crumb cake with white. Let's do it and see what happens. That could be really beautiful. And then I'll have to give you credit for coming up with that fabulous idea. All right, so that's basic. That's the basis of one card, and I could probably pretty that up a bit with some bling and other things. All right, then we've got our purples, which look good. We've got the green that I think looks great. And let's try the crumb cake. So I've got a card base here. Now this is actually slightly bigger than card base size, I can see. So I'm just going to cut it down. Let's go. How wide is this? This is quite wide. I'm cutting a little bit off each side because sometimes in my scrap drawer, sometimes some pieces, the corners get damaged, and this corner is damaged. In fact, there's a little bit of damage here as well. Oh, well, we can always work on that later. We'll see. All right, I'm wondering what stamp set. Should I go back to the leaves, do you think? I'm just wondering what other stamp set would look good with this that I happen to own, because there's quite a few. Unfortunately, I don't own all of them. Yes, Thoughtful Wishes came back. I know, it's so exciting. I'm so happy that I got that now. That's fantastic. The stippled roses are beautiful, aren't they? The stippled roses, they're called. Sorry. All right. I'm just having a look at my stamps here to see if there's anything else that would look really good. It needs to be, I think, you don't want a line drawing image. You want something that's fairly solid, fairly solid. I'm just looking to see. I wonder. Maybe I'll just go with the leaves for now. But I have got a couple of others that might be contenders. For example, Magnolia Mood. This bundle's on sale. If anyone loves the Magnolia with the dies that go with this, are absolutely stunning. Those are on sale. Those are an extra 10% off right now. So, yeah, that's super quick, isn't it, Tanya? All right. So I'm thinking I will go in with the leaves, especially since I just... Did I clean that up? Oh, I haven't cleaned it up since I did the purple on it. So I'll give it a quick clean. I'm going to bring in my scrub. I'm going to spray it. I'm also going to spray my stamp just to make sure I get some mist everywhere. Yeah, I think the leaves too, Sherry. That's at the moment, I think it's my favorite technique for this, favorite stamp set for this particular technique. But, you know. All right, so I'm going to use my white. The only thing is my white ink, let me see if it's inked up enough. I did ink it up again recently. Let's see when we put it on here. If it's not inked up, oh no, it's pretty good. So I'm actually going to do a whole bunch of this. Now we're going to make this a landscape card, or are we going to make it, a, you know, the other thing you could do with this, I haven't tried it, but now that we're thinking about white, you could emboss this and see how that looks. That might be really interesting. Anyway, so I'm going to grab myself another piece of, well, I've actually got a leftover piece here from before, so maybe this would be fine. Let me see. I think I want a better tear line. So I'm going to get myself another piece of copy paper out of the printer, because that's where the copy paper is, right? And will we go landscape or will we go portrait? Do we decide? White on black cardstock. It would look stunning. The problem is, what color would you sponge over it? Because you wouldn't be able to sponge over the edges. You'd have to treat them a different way, and I'm not sure quite how. Unless we could get away with a bit of white. I don't know. It's worth looking at, isn't it? We might have to have some experimenting. All right, so I'm just going to try and get some interesting edge here. I don't know. What do you think? Is that interesting? And did we decide landscape, Marion? Okay. Emboss would be spectacular. And Donna said landscape as well. But are we going landscape this way or landscape this way? I'm thinking I'm just going to, I'm still not happy. I'm still playing around with my torn edge. This way, you mean like this? This way? Is that what you're saying, Sheila? I'm waiting for Sheila to reply to me, because I'm going to, whatever Sheila tells me to do, I'm going to do. I don't know why, I just feel like it. And how much of this do I want to cover up? If I want a long, thin greeting down the bottom, like something right along that edge, then we might have to play around with that idea of black and white and see what we could do. Horizontal? Yes, says Sheila. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to make sure this is inked all the way down. I don't actually need all of the inking at the top, but I do want it. All right. So I'm going to put this here, and I'm going to make sure I cover. It might not quite cover. I don't know if it's going to quite cover, but oh well. If it doesn't, we can cut it down. That's the good thing about paper. You can cut it down if it's not right. All right. So we're doing a horizontal one this time, just for something different. And I'm giving it you want to make sure you get a really good inking with this. All right. Let's take it up and see what happened. Okay. Can you see that it went slightly off the ends Okay, that's okay because I can cut it down so it has a mat around the side there, so I can take that off. All right. Now, where was this? I really should have paid more attention. Now, here's a little challenge. I can see the white. Okay, I can see where the white is here on my paper, but we might have to emboss this. I'm going to emboss it. Let's see what happens. I've never even tried this. I'm learning something too. I've never tried this like this before. So I'm thinking because the white doesn't stand out on the crumb cake as much as I would like. All right. It would look better on a darker color. I mean, it's okay. What do you think? Should we emboss it? But to me, it's not. It actually looks better on the camera than it does in front of me here. What do you guys think? I'm looking to see what people are saying. Typing paper. Yeah, no one says that anymore, Marty. Ever, right? All right. So if given that, to be honest, let's try. Okay. All right. When I was doing this originally, I was like doing it in mostly on white, but I think it's fun experimenting with different ways. If I was going to do this though, I would use if I knew I was going to emboss it when I did it, I would have used my Versamark. I think Versamark for me is my favorite. Let me just see. I wasn't prepared to emboss today, so my embossing tray is way over the back of my desk, and I don't know, like I said, landscape. Let's try white and see how we go. And if it doesn't work, oh well, we've all learned something that doesn't work, right? And I'm not even gonna worry about that today because hey, I've just had a crazy week, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So then we all learn something. I'm not even going to be embarrassed about it. All right, so let's have a little look here what we have. Is it going to stick okay? Okay, it didn't stick as well as I would have liked over here. Versamark would have been better. Well, I'm still going to do it. I don't even care. I'm going to see what happens. It didn't stick on the white because there wasn't enough ink on the white ink pad for it to emboss really well. It needs to be very wet. Whereas Versamark, you don't have that problem. That's one reason why I prefer to use Versamark than white. Even though white does emboss nicely, you've got to have a really wet ink pad for it to emboss. And that's not what we were going to do originally with this card, right? So let me get the heat tool and see what happens. I just want it to stand out a little bit more than what it was doing. So we're going to cook it. So much for being a quick technique. Now we're going off in all kinds of tangents and learning new stuff together. And I will cut this down a little bit so it will have a mat behind it, and that's fine. All right, it's just starting to turn now. So this is, yeah, ideally, I wouldn't think that the embossing and faux tearing normally belong together, but I'm thinking if I did it with Versamark, I could probably get a really good result. So we might have to play around with that. But the white, I'm either going to have to ink it really well before I do this, or not try doing it with white. See how we've managed to cook it in the middle here, but over here over the edges where it hasn't stuck to the powder. Powder hasn't stuck to the inking. So anyway, let's see. Just going to find, oh, now here's the next thing. What have I done with the piece of paper that I just took off? I don't know. These are all the ones I've got so far. This one, and this one, but none of these are that. What did I do with it? Oh, and this one, and this one, and that one. Goodness me, we haven't done that many. So it must be one of these. I'm looking for the stamping. Here's the problem. The white doesn't show up on the white paper. So if you were using another color paper, maybe that would be fine, but dearie me. I'm thinking this is not it, but I'm going to make it. So let's give that a try, shall we? And let's see what happens. I'm going to grab a blending brush now. Here's an interesting thing. I keep a couple of blending brushes specifically for white, and they get a bit yucky, all right? But they'll still work. But yeah, I don't know if this is going to work as well as we want it to. But let's try it. So you can see I'm putting it. It does look okay. And I'm sort of flicking it onto. I somehow think we could get an okay result with this. So that's how it's looking at the moment. And so you can kind of get a feeling for this, that it kind of looks like tearing, but also kind of not. Now, I'm actually going to come in here, and I'm going to come in here with some crumb cake, and I'm going to sponge some crumb cake over this side, and we'll see how that looks. You think it looks good, Margaret? I'm not real sure about it. I don't know how I feel about it right now, but that's okay. We're experimenting. So I do a lot of experimenting in my craft room. I don't know if you guys do, but I play around a lot to looking for new techniques, and every now and then I come up with something that's new to me that I think, ooh, look what I made. Look what I did. And I'm kind of just fading that out here in the middle. It doesn't look bad. It doesn't. All right, so you can see I've got a little bit of a folded edge down the bottom here that it was a bit doggy because the paper was a little bit damaged because I got it out of my scrap drawer. But that's okay. There's a number of things we could do to fix that, actually. But let's cut this down. And I'm feeling like I'm going to go to, actually, let's go this end. We'll go 13.8, which is the next, and that's going to take some of that corner off that we didn't like. And I'm going to do 9.5 this way. We've almost completely fixed the corner. So there's hardly any missing yucky corner now. All right, and then I could put this on another piece, like maybe black or a dark brown. You like it? You guys like? Well, thank you, girls. You're all being very kind. But I feel like I want to play around with this some more and teach myself to do this with it, and like to mix the faux tearing and the emboss technique. What do we think? Because that's kind of a new thing. And then we could say we came up with our own technique. What do you think about that idea? All right, so we've got a few samples. We've got the first one that I did before the class to show you. We've got the next one that we did together. Then we have the one we did with the stippled roses, and I'm going to actually finish that one off and make it into a card. So I'm going to add a couple of dimensionals behind this piece. This stippled rose set lends itself well to a whole bunch of different techniques, and this, I guess, is just one of them. Let's try that right about there. that look right? Is that straight? Yeah, I think it's straight. And I would probably put this, oh, this is on, that's white. So if I was going to have a white card base, or I could go a crumb cake, sorry, no, grey granite card base. What do you guys think? Grey granite or white? I think maybe grey granite. That's what I'm thinking. Grey granite is a really good color. It's not too silver, like smoky slate is quite grey silver, and it's not as brown as, say, crumb cake, but it's somewhere in the middle. It's definitely a grey, but it's got a little bit of a mauvey tone to it, which is why I think it looks good with the blackberry. So it's quite good in that regard. It's a very good neutral. Now it's going to need some bling or something like that on there. Absolutely. Jody would not let us get away with anything else, would she? She'd be horrified. The white coming up from the torn paper. Yeah, I know, right? I like that edge. It does look really good, but I feel like I would like to play with this some more and perfect this, because I reckon this idea has potential, really good potential. I just have to work out how to make it amazing. So that'll be a little challenge I'm going to set myself over the next few days, is to make this torn paper look with the crumb cake and white look amazing, because I love the idea. That was Sheila's idea, right? I hope I got that right. Or was it Suzanne? I know it was somebody whose name started with S. All right, and then I would probably pop on, maybe some of these little white opal are these citrus blooms ones, because those are really nice. Actually, I'm going to try and take that off without ripping the paper, because I'm thinking one there and one here, and then move this one. And where is my, here it is. Take your pick tool. Here we go. I wonder if it's a bit plain. I wonder, did it need it probably needed a ribbon. That's probably what it needed. I like these to make kind of like a triangle. But I'm just thinking maybe some of that beautiful, this gorgeous ribbon that I love so much. Let's tie a little bow and see how that looks. What do you think, girls? Oh, poor Jody, having a great time on her holiday. Yeah, poor thing. Oh, Bali. That sounds terrible. I've never been to Bali. Am I the only Australian who's never been to Bali? And should I go? Because I have been to Fiji and I loved that. Hawaii is wonderful. I could go back there tomorrow, but I've never been to Bali. I've got other places I want to go to first. A bow, says Leslie. Okay, well, let's see how it looks. Oh, what have I? Oh, I thought I had something stuck on my hand. It's the ribbon that's on my scissors. It's not stuck on my hand at all. All right, so I'm thinking about right at the bottom here or to one side. Let's pop this on a glue dot. So this is the way to use your glue dots if you don't know. You expose your glue dots. Can you see them there? Can you see there's dots of glue, right? And you go to the next one. Oh, it has a free cat, a bonus cat hair on it. We'll get rid of that. A little bow or whatever it is you want to stick, you stick it onto the dot that's still on the roll so it stays on the dot, and then you push it really hard with your thumb, nice firm pressure. Then you take the whole thing off and the dot comes with it, and then you just apply it. So I've had people say, oh, I can't use glue dots, they're hard to use. They're super easy if you do it like that. To one side, that's good. That's what I just did. Thanks, Tanya. Okay, everyone's saying side. Yeah, it does look better with the does look better with the bow. It needed that, didn't it? All right, so I'm happy with that. That looks good. That's a card for another day. This I'm not happy with, but it has potential, and we want to do something with it. I just don't know yet what the something is, so I'm going to have a little play with that and see if I can come up with something even better. And then, of course, we have the other ones that we did today. We have this one, and we have this one. So this one I prepared earlier. And so with this one, with those gorgeous grapes and Highland Heather, grab the gorgeous grape and a long thin sentiment. So let's have a quick look and see. Oh, I pulled this one out. I like this. There's a thank you for being you, but there's just a note to let you know you're loved. That's nice. And there's a happy birthday in there as well. This is a really good bundle. If you're looking for a good bundle to get on sale, it's a great bundle. So it's in the online store. You'll find it there. And I will, straight after this, immediately after I finish this video, I'm going to put in all the details in the description below so that you can place an order if you would like to. There'll be a link to the online store. Don't forget, if you're ordering and you order over $60 worth of product in any month, then you will actually receive for the following month a supply pack to make our craft along project. And craft along is coming up Thursday the 27th. Okay, see how nice that looks down there when we put that in there? Looks good, doesn't it? Doesn't that look nice? All right, ladies. Well, there you go. That's what we got up to today. We just did a bit of faux tearing. Super easy, old technique. Play around with colors and styles. So here I did these ones on white. This one I did on another color just to show you how different that turns out. And I just think it's a really fun technique that anyone can do. And you don't need any special equipment, just you need a big stamp that's a little bit busy, not a line drawing stamp, but something a little bit more solid usually, or something that's got the, what do they call it? What's the special thing called? Distinctive stamps that have got that like light and dark. Those turn out quite nice. I thought the leaves turned out really lovely as well. So you can have a bit of a play around. It is a really good bundle. It's a great one. All right, you guys, have a fantastic day. I'll quickly pop back to me and click over. Here I am. I hope that you all have a fantastic week. You're very, very welcome, Leslie. You're so welcome. I'm hoping that you all have a fantastic week ahead. I'll be back live again with you on Friday night. So I hope this weekend to have no disasters. I'm praying for just a lovely, quiet, boring weekend. Doesn't that sound nice? All right. Have a great week, you guys. Thanks. Bye.